Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the market call brought to you by your Value Flow Trading Team. And this morning, the 11th of April, 11th of May 2026, we're excited to have you all here on the occasion of today's market call. The time is 8:30 and we're going to head straight into the market follow for the week. And here on the market follow, we analyze the major forex currency pairs and we also show you the possible trades we are going to be taking from our own ends on these currency pairs so that you can also join us to take advantage of them and give you clarity for the trades that we're expecting to take throughout the week. So I'm not here alone. My name is CJ and I'm of course here with Lincoln, Cynthia Demola, and Sabi Abi. Together, we're going to be sharing our thoughts with you on the market, and we're going to head straight into the market today as we comment, starting off with gold against the dollar. Quite a quiet, long New York session. Not so much noise in the previous New York session of last week, Friday. And then moving into today's Asian session, it was also a bit quiet. Now we're expecting some things to play out. Looking at gold on the daily time frame, gold is still looking bearish to me, at least in the short term, because seeing the current expansion on gold, which we're going to look at in the 4-hour time frame, we're seeing that gold is currently kind of at a premium. We'll be expecting it to trade into some equilibrium or discount region before we start looking forward to the push to the upside on gold. So this is what we're expecting to play out on gold before we take further trades to the upside. So we're expecting a short sell, or kind of a sell-off to the downside before the buy resumes. Okay. Now, if you look at it on the 4-hour time frame, it gives much more clarity to what we were just saying earlier. If you flip this whole level to the upside right here, you'll see that price is still at 38.6. We're expecting it to trade all the way to somewhere around 50% region, which is somewhere around here, to give us a decent retracement we want, or even all the way to 61.8 around this region here before we start seeing the push to the upside. So this is what we're expecting to play out on gold today. So we're expecting a sell-off on gold all the way to the 50% or 61% region to give us a complete and ideal retracement before we expect the buys to resume. Okay, and price has already started doing that from the Asian session into the early London session. If you look at that on the 1-hour time frame, you see how the Asian session showed lots and lots of rejection before it gave us a push to the downside. So we're still expecting some more push to the downside all the way to this region here before the buy continues. Okay. All right, so this is what we're expecting to play out on the market all on today. So for gold against the dollar, we're expecting a sell-off all the way to somewhere around here before a buy. So either here or here, we're expecting a buy to resume to the upside after that sell-off. Now, if you look at it on the 15-minute time frame also, you see that the price is gearing up for a sell-off after it retraced into the low of Asia. This was the low of Asia somewhere around here. Price is retraced to the low of Asia. We're expecting a further sell to the downside from this region. And our target would be those levels we have earlier looked out for on the 1-hour time frame. So one of the levels on the 4-hour time frame and the daily time frame rather, one of the levels we looked out for is somewhere around the 50% region. So you can mark this region and look out for points of interest around there. So on the 1-hour time frame, you see that there's a huge fair value gap around there, which is right at this point here. Okay, so we're expecting price to get there at the fair value gap and at the breakout block. So you can see that there's a whole breakout block right here. Okay, so it looks as though price is traded into it, but we just need one more final push into this region, at least to the midpoint, which is around 50% region. So we want to see a push back to this region here, and then a pull back to the upside. This is one of the places we want to stay sell into. And then the second place we want to stay sell into is somewhere around here. Once price gets into this region here, we'll be expecting a buy. So these are the two places we're expecting gold to buy from. This particular point here or here. So we'll be looking forward to seeing a sell of gold here in the London session, and we'll be targeting it to get here, then the buy side, or we'll be targeting it to get here, and then to the buy side. Either of these two will give hope you also apply your own analysis so that
Hello, good morning, everyone. Once again, welcome to the market call-up. And this morning, we are going to be moving straight to the synthetic, what we are seeing on the 75, and we can take advantage of that as quick as possible. I believe everyone can hear me loud and clear. All right. Okay, so starting with VIX30 this morning, looking at VIX30, last week, we've had a very quiet week last week, and it's been a very quiet one on VIX30, looking at where we are currently and what is going on VIX30. Okay, now starting with VIX30 itself.
all right, sorry for the interruption. We had a technical glitch, so I'm so sorry for that. We'll be proceeding right away, and we'll be sharing our analysis as we have been doing already during this market. Okay, so looking at gold, we said we have a sell bias for gold today, and we're taking the sell off to the downside, and we'll be expecting gold to just make a quick run all the way to these levels that we've marked right here and here. So that is our expectation for gold this morning. Now we're going to be looking at the yen basket quickly. Now, if we're looking at the yen baskets, we would be expecting further sell and sell on the yen basket because we have been bearish on the yen for a long time. So we had some interventions last week, spoke about it last week. You can go check out Market Call on Friday last week to get view on that. But right now, it looks like the interventions are over. We're expecting the yen to resume itself to the downside. So for the yen basket, we're expecting further and further sales all the way to the downside. These are the levels we're expecting the yen to sell off to. Okay. So that is that on the yen basket. We're very bearish, and that implies that we are bullish on GBP JPY, Euro JPY, and USD JPY. We're expecting further sales in that regard all the way to the downside. Okay, so we're expecting the yen to sell off a little more, and then we're expecting GBP JPY and Euro JPY to sell off a little more. Okay, so for GBP JPY, we're expecting it to buy instead. So as we're expecting the yen to sell, we're expecting GBP JPY to buy, and we would want to see how those buys will possibly take us to somewhere around here. I've been expecting a buy on GBP JPY all the way to this region right here because this was a really, really strong support region. We want to see how far GBP JPY is going to buy into this region. So I'm expecting a buy on GBP JPY all the way here. And then on the 1 hour time frame, let's see how we're going to take advantage of that. On the 1 hour time frame, we had a huge bump to the downside, but price has recovered from that, and we're making headway to the top. So right now on GBJPY, I'm just looking for an entry signature in form of pattern on 15 minutes or 5 minutes time frame. If I see either of the two, I'll be taking my buy on GBJPY. So this is the things I'm looking out for on these pairs this morning. So GBJPY, I'm looking out for a bullish engulfing or a bearish engulfing. Another thing I'm looking out for on GBJPY is if price retraces to this region here, I'll be taking my buy to the upside. So something like this will engineer my buy for GBJPY. So we'll be looking for an entry somewhere around here. And stop loss is going to be very tight. So I'm doing about 15 pips on GBPY. And then take profits will be all the way up here. Okay, so we're expecting GBPY to ride all the way to this region here. So this will be our take profit point. So for any buy setup we have, this is our take profit point on GBPY. So whether it's from here or from the bullish engulfing pattern or the Monday star pattern, we are buying GBPY all the way to the level I just marked out. All right, so that
Hello, welcome once again. Sorry for the break in transmission. We're having a little bit challenges with the internet this morning. All right, so starting this morning for the synthetic indices, we'll be looking at VIX30. We are starting with VIX30, and from there we'll head straight to VIX75, and lastly 75 1S to see what has been playing out and what we are expecting to see in the course of the week for this particular pair. Now, starting with VIX30 itself on the daily time frame, we are going to observe with me just the way we said last week, Friday, that we see some level kind of bust pattern playing out around this zone. And right now, we are expecting price to retrace all the way into this daily order block that we have here. So that's what we're expecting to see on this 31S. Now let's go refine it more on the lower time frame, starting with 4 hours. Now the 4-hour time frame, we have a very typical bust pattern playing out here. How that we have this liquidity level that we are expecting price to come and take out, right? And at the same time, we want price to tap into this daily order block that we mark on the daily time frame. So when price tapped into that level, then we'll go to our lower time frame, 15 minutes, to go and look for our confirmation entry. So that one will give us more confidence to start selling. Now, remember on Friday on the 1-hour time frame, when we said that we really did not trust this sell that is going all the way to the downside, meaning being that there has been some liquid, some consolidation here, and we expect price to come and grab liquidity around that level. And when it did the same thing just an hour ago, and we won't just enter the sell right now until we see how that price takes out this 4-hour liquidity point and tap into the daily order block. Then that gives us a very, clear move to short this 31S for a long time. And when we start that, we are going to do not less than about 1:2 3 to 1:4 when price tap into this level, so we can follow it back all the way down. All right, so that is what we are looking out to see play out on this 31S, just the way we've seen, we've been expecting it since Friday. Is still the same thing we are waiting for price to do. And remember, one of the great attributes of a profitable trader is your ability to master the art of patience, right? And if you are able to do that, then you are good to go and taking your entries, right? So that is that for this 31S. Moving forward to this 75 this morning. On Friday, remember, we were waiting for price to not just stay here, but as at the analysis, we were waiting for price to tap into this 1 hour order block, of which if we go to your lower time frame, we have some refinement on the lower time frame where we saw a specific entry of where price really and truly came to test for it to reverse back all the way up. And that is what we see play out here, just the way we see it. So we on that 1 hour order block was refined, and we saw a clear fair value gap here and even some liquidity level which we expect price to take out. So that was what we saw, and we were able to take the buy of this 75 on Friday, right? And it delivered 1:3, sweet, clean and clear, even more. All right, but the target was this liquidity level here. As price gets there, it was delivered and we move forward. So this morning, moving forward, what exactly are we still looking out to see on this 75 index? As a matter of fact, for me, I'm still expecting more push to the upside. This should be the next draw of liquidity for the 75 index. And as a matter of fact, since price has not really tested this order block that we have present here, I'm of the opinion that we have high probability of price still buying all the way to this zone, and then we are going to see our entry opportunity there. Now let's go to the lower time frame 15 minutes to see what is the current structure and where can we come in trading with 75 this morning. As a matter of fact, looking at what we have on the chart this morning, my only entry that I'm seeing is there's high probability price still reverses all the way back here to come and take out this low that we have here, or tap into this order block, this move. This is what I'm trying to say. So this order block here, price still coming to tap into it or even take out the liquidity just below it, and we'll begin to see the second leg of the buy. And when the second leg of the buy begins, where is it heading to? Is heading all the way to the is heading all the way to the 4-hour liquidity point, which we have somewhere here. So this is where we are expecting it to stay trade into. Remember, on the 24-hour time frame, we are in a consolidation phase, so price is still within the range. What we are just doing is we buy low, we sell high. We buy at discount, we sell at premium. So that is all we've been doing for the 75 in the last few days since February 23rd, 2026. All right, and lastly, the 75 1S, what we have on the charts this morning. Also, for the 75 1S, you are still going to agree with me that price still came all the way down since Friday, and now we are seeing the push gradually to the upside on Friday. So we still expect, we see how that price was selling aggressively down on Friday for the 75, wow, last week rather, for the 75 1S. So let's look at the 4-hour structure to see where and what exactly are we seeing playing out. As a matter of fact, just the way we said it last week on Friday, that this double bottom that was formed sometimes in the month of February needs to be taken out. So I'm still of the opinion we are still going to see price coming towards this double bottom and take out this double bottom. All right, so when price does that, that's why we have to still be patient a bit to see what price does. So when we go to our 1-hour time frame to check what is the structure we have on 1-hour time frame, yes, we are seeing price gradually pushing to the upside since on Friday, pushing gradually to the upside. But I'm of the opinion that let's still wait to see what becomes of price at that particular point in time, so that we can easily follow through with it. However, if you check your lower time frame on the 15 minutes, you are still going to see that everything is still pointing to the same side, that yes, we are in a sell market. However, we are seeing some level of market structure shift to the upside. So knowing fully well with that, what exactly should we do? What I'm seeing is we have this level still, pending that price may still come. Even if it wants to continue to buy, we should still see it pull back all the way to this zone. In a nutshell, this is what I'm expecting to see for it, like price coming, pull back into this zone, then taking out this liquidity and tap into that other block you're seeing right there. And then we begin to see the move further from that place to the upside. So that is it. And we have a very clear bus pattern seated just around that zone with our shoulder just at this point here. And we have the liquidity just resting below it there, so we can easily follow through as price taps into this other block, and we can push through for it as price get to that zone. So this is going to be it for the 751S with just a very tiny stop loss somewhere around this place, and we are still following the continuation of the buy pattern, knowing fully well that the sell-off that we saw last week is still there should still be some level of pullback of that sell-off. Like all we've seen here, all this sell-off, there should be some level of pullback for it, at least, even if it's not to the premium, then it should be to the equilibrium level, meaning to the 50% fib level, which is this particular zone. That is the equilibrium. So when price get there, then we can now begin to look for opportunity to sell further down again. As a matter of fact, I'm spotting a particular pattern at that zone, that equilibrium zone, which when price get there, we can easily see it push to the downside. But let's wait and see what becomes of price on our 15-minute time frame as we follow through that way. All right, so thank you very much. This is going to be the end for the synthetic indices. Right about now, we are going to move straight to hear what is going on the indices before we now move to dollar. All right, Demola, good morning.
Good morning, Lekon. Thank you for the analysis on synthetic market. I believe anybody following even through last week would have made some serious cash on those setups. All right, very briefly, we'll be looking at the market on the indices, and then we'll be seeing what is available for us this morning in the market. And so last week, Friday, I guess, we mapped out certain areas for us to, watch out for across board on NAS 100, S&P 500, and US 30. All right, this is the beginning of the week. Unfortunately, price got to our area of interest last week, and then it's rejecting off that area this morning, right? We're still seeing some form of rejection off this area to the upside. All right, the first area of resistance for this bullish movement will be this minor order block sitting here. But any movement above this other block that will have something like this price, say for example, price reject it, then I will expect a retest on it and then a continuation to this, right? And effectively even to this fair value gap, right? That would be what I'll be expecting this morning. And then price can as well just, still sell off from this other block, right? But then what we have this morning is quite significant, which I wouldn't expect that to happen in terms of seeing that sell off just from this zone, right? I want a break of this other block and then price effectively continue to drive upwards. Of course, if fundamental support our bias, which is to being bullish, then we would even notice and we would see that this other block will not hold. This sell setup will not hold. This is a classic box pattern for a sell. A sweep, a break to the downside, return to left shoulder, other block sitting, fair value gap. We have multiple confluence for a sell. But if fundamental is strongly in support of a bullish bias, then the best approach to this is to just, ignore the sell setup and then know fully well that regardless of any reaction we might see here, the market will continue printing much more eyes to the upside, and right. And so we don't want to be on the opposing side of the market. We want to flow with the flow. We want to flow with the direction of the market, not against the tide, right? So this 1 hour on the weekly time frame, we can see very clearly that we have been struggling to, just break this high for the past a couple of weeks, rejecting off this other block the first 1 week, but then we left this entire area is what we've been dealing with now. Any break above this would signify that long momentum. If you look at the rest, NAS 100, you will see that they've had their own break, right? Like we mentioned rightly last week. Apologies for the network. It's breaking. Okay. All right. So look at NAS 100. This is what we have on NAS 100. The price has broken on its own level and has printed even far above. It's in a new area of price discovery. I'm expecting that with US 30, right? So the best is to just be on the outlook for the break of this zone, because effectively would say another probably 1,500 to 2,000 pips printed on this bullish direction, right? Because of course the market is going to catch up. NAS 100, S&P 500, and also US 30. But for this morning, this is what we have on US 30. Price already rejecting off this level. If for any reason price violates this level, I'm still willing to take a buy. All right, provided I see a clear-cut entry around any of this zone. Right, this one is my first entry. My second entry will be here. All right, and then we'll see that right to the upside. And that's pretty much it on US 30. On NAS 100, we are in a new price discovery area, so it's very tricky to want to guess where price is going to go from here. You can never tell, right? Price is a new zone, it has never been there before. There's no reference as to what happened in the past, because we are just there now. And so it's just for us to be patient. Any retracement into this zone, we want to just by intuition say we are still bullish, following strictly technical analysis and fundamental analysis to say we are still bullish, and then you continue buying the market until you see a clear structure change, right, to the downside. A multiple creation of lower highs and lower lows would signify that okay, we're beginning to retrace a bit. Anything other than that, we are bullish, extremely bullish. So we are looking for price to retrace a bit into some area of interest, another block, a fair value gap, and then we'll continue taking the market to the upside, right? Following the market direction. The same thing with US 500, that's S&P 500, right? So we are waiting for price to just, print its own retracement, give us a bit of retracement. That happened this on Friday, Thursday, Friday. Price retraced a bit and then continue, right? This is pretty much what we will have in this type of market condition. Whenever price is in a new area of discovery and then you don't have any reference points, the closest thing you want to do is either you just leave the market entirely or you look for area of interest close to where price is, right? And another block, support and resistance, fair value gap, and all of that to use as confidence to take your trade, right? Because we are bullish now. It's no argument that we are bullish, right? The concern now is as to where we are going to enter from, right? But this price action is quite messy. Me, we just wait for price to come to an area of interest that is valid to me. Another block, fair value gap. Let me go to 30-minute time frame. Probably we'll see something there. Okay, another block, Okay, sorry for that network glitch. All right, so as I was saying, price can as well just come into this zone, and then from there we see a continuation to the upside. What's happening now? Okay, all right. So if for any reason we see a tap into this zone and then a continuation will just follow, otherwise the best is just stay out of the market and then wait for the breakout to happen on US 30, right? Wait for the breakout to happen on US 30, right? That being said, that's pretty much what we have going on today. Any insights, any trade setup that is found will be sent to the market follow group, the market follow community. Just ensure you are there and stay alert so that once we drop our setup, you can take advantage of it. So on to the next segment of the market color, we'll be looking at the dollar, right? From Cynthia, what's happening with the dollar and any market opportunity we have today from that angle. Over to you, Cynthia. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Demola. That was such an insightful analysis from your end. From my own end, looking at the dollar correlated pairs, GBP USD, Euro USD, and of course the XY. Let's see what the market has for us. And I would like to crave your indulgence to bear with me because network has been a bit unstable. On the weekly time frame, of course, on the XY, we're looking at a point of interest for a while now. So we usually like to make a reference from that point before proceeding with the analysis. Right, so this left shoulder at these very levels where we've been looking at 914,997 for price to trade into that level before continuing its bullish trend. And on the daily time frame, of course, if you were around for the analysis, last week, we actually said that price has been sitting at this left shoulder at 97.979, and we're expecting some bullish move off that point all the way to the upside. On 4-hour time frame, however, of course, there's price has broken structure, I beg your pardon, to the downside. So we're expecting more moves to the downside before continuation of the bullish move in alignment with what we've seen on the much higher time frames, the daily time frame and the weekly time frame, of course. In alignment with the weekly time frame, we're looking out for a sell to buy, sell into the left shoulder and a buy off that point. On the 15 minutes time frame, however, establishing that we're looking out for more push to the downside. There's a classic box pattern right here, shoulder at 97.912, sweep to the downside, break to the upside. Price came back here, stalled a bit. I'm looking out for a price to retrace right back into this left shoulder before continuing the buy all the way to the upside. There's still more room for the sell to the downside before continuation of the bullish move on the XY. So we're looking into this week, we're looking out for a sell to buy on the XY, and of course, establishing that we want to sell to buy, we'll be looking out for buy to sells on GBP USD and Euro USD. And on the weekly time frame, we're looking out for price to sell all the way into this level, 1.24683, and buy off that point to the upside. On daily time frame, we spotted a break of structure to the downside, right? price has broken this low right here at 1.3383. And we're seeing that there's a retracement, and of course price retraced into this left shoulder at 1.35468, and price has been stalling off that point for a period of time, but eventually we should see price selling all the way and taking out the low at 1.31596. On the 4-hour time frame, let's see what price is doing on 4-hour time frame. However, we're seeing structure to the upside, right? We see structure to the upside on GBP USD. And of course, except there has been a break of structure for us to continue the sell, we will keep riding the buys to the upside. Establishing this, all we're looking out for is for entries to the buy side. We're looking out for entries to the buy side. On the 1-hour time frame, price is just ranging. Price is ranging on the 1-hour time frame. Coming down to the 15 minutes time frame, let's see if we can spot any entry, something that is worth our while. Price action is a bit crappy today on the 15 minutes time frame on GBP USD, but we want to be buying, except there's a break of structure. We're looking out for buys to sell, and once there's a break of structure, we want to keep riding the sells all the way to the downside. Coming down to Euro USD. On Euro USD, the weekly time frame, we're still looking out for price to retrace right back into the left shoulder and for us to keep buying off that point, right? Once price comes into this left shoulder at 1.0678, solidifying the point that we are looking out for a sell to buy, a sell into 1.06788 and a buy of that level all the way to the upside. And on the daily time frame, there's been a break of structure, and of course it is in alignment with our analysis on the weekly time frame. We want to sell to 1.06788 before continuing the buy. And on the daily time frame, price has retraced right back into 1.17962, stalling off that point. Eventually we want to see price selling off, taking this low, breaking the low at 1.14148, and eventually selling all the way to the left shoulder on the weekly time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, however, we're seeing that price is stalling, right? We're seeing that price is stalling and more like a range, right? More like a range, but we've seen that price has actually broken structure, shoulder right here at 1.17962 for the sell to the downside, shoulder, a sharp sweep to the upside, a break to the downside. Price tapped into this level and has been stalling. There's no clear direction on Euro USD, but into this week, I'm actually looking at sell opportunities. It's crappy basically, and of course if it's not so obvious, then it is dubious. I beg your pardon. Just we're going to watch what the market is doing until it picks a direction and gives us a clear entry for whatever it is doing. However, on Euro USD, it is not so clear what the market is doing on my own end. With that being said, Abby, what are you seeing in the commodity market?
Thank you, Cynthia. Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to today's market color session. So we're going to look at the commodity currency market together and see the opportunities that present themselves today. For the sake of those of us who are just joining for the very first time, this is our indicator-based strategy, and I say that because I know it may look a bit confusing. However, don't let that distract you. What you want to do is to take note of the price point I'll be calling out and add that to your own analysis. So I'm going to be starting this market color session with a look at AED USD on the 4 hours time frame. When you look at this asset class, whether you trade naked charts, technicals, or you use indicators, it is clear that AED USD is predominantly buying. However, I took a quick look at AED USD on the daily time frame, and I noticed that it is currently trading off a resistance level, hence the horizontal line you see at 0.72763. And so I marked that up because it is important to have that in mind. Now looking at it on the H4 time frame, price is buying, yes, but price has hit a resistance level on the daily time frame and it is reacting. Sunshine has been printed, hence why this sell is occurring. People who were buying this move are taking profit out of the market. We want to see how far they are going to move further down or where they are going to continue to buy from. Having that in mind, we go down to the H1 time frame to determine or reconfirm our structure move. And same thing we have here, it is also buying on the 1 hour time frame, also buying and then reacting off that resistance level we saw on the daily right here, reacting off of it, coming down, give us, another structure point that failed to break above to continue the buy move. So right now, my major area of interest for AUD/USD is right at this support level. I'd like to see if AUD/USD is going to violate this zone to the downside so that I know that the sellers who were reacting from the D1 daily time frame are strong enough to break through all of these key levels and may continue to sell. However, if price fails to break through this level and this level, then buyers will be back in full force. Now we have some key points of interest that I marked out on the 1 hour time frame. You'd see the first one 0.71852 and the second one being 0.72174. These are my major POIs that I'm marking out, watching to see what price eventually does. There's also a third point of interest that I'm going to be watching out for, but it's a bit downward. That's 0.70716. Also keep that in mind. Okay, so now that we've now determined this and we have a case from H1, let's go down to the 5-minute time frame to mark out even more specific point of interest for this session moving into the next. You see that we already have 3 levels marked out. This is a resistance level that could come act as another resistance to push it downward, or it could be a resistance turn support for AUD/USD to continue to buy. So having that in mind, take note of the price point I'll be calling out, please. The first one is 0.72011. The second is 0.72466. The third is 0.72639. These are the 3 major points of interest that I'm marking out on the M5 time frame. You either serve as support and continue to push AUD/USD upward, or you break through volatilities to give me more incentive that the sellers are back in full force. If I see a total violation of this asset class all the way into a total violation of this level all the way down here, then I'll be prepared for a sell move. So I'm going to be watching to see what confirmations I get for this particular asset class. And then looking at NZD/USD on the H4 time frame as well, you'd see that price major structure here was a sell. However, we've now had a key break of structure around this point. This range was broken through, a separation happened. This is now what we have here. So there's been a change of character. If price was going to continue to sell following what it had been doing since sometime around February, this would have broken or violated to the downside. So because of this change of character, I am now interested to see what direction this market takes. So break above, sunshine printed, a retracement. This is a resistance that could be a support level. That is where price is currently at. Go to the H1 time frame. On the H1 time frame, you see that I already marked out my point of interest here. 0.59380, 0.58977, 0.58417. These are my 3 major points of interest that I've marked out. We know what we're watching out for, I believe. Serve as support, let's buy, violate, break all of this, and I'll start to wonder why and find the reason for that and act accordingly. We're reacting with the market, not just, predicting. So on the M5 time frame, these are now the 3 points of interest that I have. The first one is 0.559 0.59816, and the second one is 0.59672, the third one being 0.59302. These are the levels I'm watching out for. Yeah, following our predominant moves, this is a buy POI that we're watching out for. Same thing with AUD/USD, buy POIs. When they get violated, we then start to look for sell opportunities. And then finally for USD card on the H4 time frame, Price is also predominantly to the downside. If you zoom in, you'd see that it hasn't taken out a key level point here. There has been a change of character somewhere around here though, because if this was going to continue to break structures downward, it would have taken out the structure point. However, it broke above and it has now traded into a key resistance level. So Sunshine also printed, giving me incentive for a sell move of USD CAD. But looking to the USD CAD H1 time frame now, you'd see that the change of characters and break of structures or confirmatory break of structures are clearer than they were on H1, on H4, I mean. So looking at this is a key resistance level that I'm watching out for. I would want to see, are you going to come and retest this zone? Buy into our next points of interest, similar to what we saw on the other asset classes. The two major points of interest we have here, 1.37499 and 1.36425. So are you coming to retest this zone and then continue to buy into the next POI before the sale continues, or are you going to violate and give us a new directional bias? We're going to be watching. Take note of the price points on M5 time frame as well. 1.37086. Second is 1.36648. Third one is 1.36412. And the fourth one is 1.36185. These are the four major POIs that we're watching out for on the 5-minute time frame. This is now a resistance, may act as support. Once we see confirmations on M1 time frame, I'll attempt a quick buy and target this zone as my take profit level. There's no confirmation yet printed, so I'll be watching. If there's no confirmation, it's going to violate through this zone and break below to the next one, confirmation, and then we'll buy USD CAD and make some money for the day at the very least. With that being said, thank you so much for joining the session. It has been an insightful one with every one of us, my colleagues, and of course our amazing audience. I look forward to seeing you in the next session. Bear in mind that we're going to be having a live call in the Telegram community. So if you're not part of that community, make sure that you join, okay? Okay, it's not to take so much more of our time. I look forward to seeing us next time. Cheers. Have an amazing trading week. God bless.